All right, I offer these videos to speak directly to my military investors and my government employees who are eligible to contribute to the Thrift Savings Plan, referred to as the TSP. In this video, I'm going to drop you into the TSP account and actually show you what I'm working with, how I seek out my exposure in the TSP. I do so as a self-directed investor. I don't invest in the life cycle funds, which I feel like are another good option for folks if they just want to put it to work for themselves and not have to worry about it and check in on it in 20 or 30 years. That's probably the another prudent way of seeking out a more passive profile. I like to have a little bit more control over the funds that I seek exposure through the G, F, C, S, and I fund. You're only given 5 options with the TSP, so pretty good performance over time, but it helps in striking up a discussion about how I seek out my exposure in the TSP, and hopefully you guys can get some value out of this and understanding, maybe identifying what makes sense for you when you're seeking out your exposure in the Thrift Savings Plan. So with that, I'll kick you into the account. We'll take a review over my Thrift Savings Plan. Guys, please enjoy.
This is going to be a cover of my Thrift Savings Plan for military and government workers that are eligible to contribute to the TSP. You'll find this extremely beneficial. Somebody that can actually bring you into the account, explain some of the features and functions that you're going to want to be able to pay attention to, specific to the account distribution and the contribution allocation. Those two things are a mouthful, but I will do my best to explain. You really just need to get to this point right here. What I mean by that is, if you're tuning into this video, I have to get this out within the first minute, that if you are not contributing to the TSP, it's one of the biggest ways of growing wealth for yourself. And honestly, guys, I've been contributing for about 7 years now, and I've never really missed a dime of the money. It's just slowly worked for me behind the scenes. I will say this to all the TSP owners that are actually contributing to the TSP. I would highly encourage you guys to get logged into your website. If you think that just contributing to the TSP is good enough, don't fall victim to the 50% of people who never log in to their account. I will say it again, 1 out of every 2 people that actually do contribute to the Thrift Savings Plan have never logged into their account. Therefore, they are probably, if not specifically, contributing to the G fund. That is the default fund that the Thrift Savings Plan goes to if you don't tell the Thrift Savings Plan where you want your money to go. So if you've never logged into the account, I've spoken with many people who have been either in military service or government employee status and thought that they were doing the right thing by contributing to the TSP, only to find out that by not taking that initiative and getting logged into the account and having a little bit of ownership over the account and awareness to where the money was going, it can really set you up to be a rude awakening down the line in understanding that for years and years and years, your money could have been exposed to a little bit more risk and aligned a little bit with where you wanted your money to be, instead of unknowingly just contributing to government-backed securities for the entire time you've contributed to the TSP. So want to get that out there. That is the biggest problem that I find all the time in talking to people, and I validate it all the time. I speak with people all the time. Do you have a TSP? Yes, I do. Have you ever logged into the account? No, I don't. I get about 1 out of every 2 answers that I get say and admit that they've never logged into the account, and that's a real big mistake. So just to get that housekeeping stuff out of the way, I'm going to pick up on this video as if you guys are logged into the account and you do have some ownership over this. Is very important to save at least your annual statement somewhere safe. That way you can refer back to them and kind of monitor your progress as you go. This is an extremely passive account for me. I do self-direct this. What I mean by that is I do select the individual funds that are located here. The TSP only offers you 5 individual funds, and they do that for a reason. I used to think that it was a lack of options. I've since changed my opinion on that, and I do understand why they do that. They're trying to avoid investors getting too overwhelmed, number one, but specifically avoiding overlap in the accounts. These are built to give you your international exposure, your small cap exposure, your common stock index exposure, your fixed income, and finally your government-backed securities here. So each fund is designed to give you that specific exposure without the potential for overlap, providing too many options for investors, which is just going to muddy the waters for folks that are, not knowing a whole lot about the TSP. So for those that are looking to actually have the account managed, the TSP life cycle funds, which are here, 𝑙-𝑖ncome, L2020, 2030, 2040, and 2050 are here. These are basically just perfect portfolios that are built for you to be adjusted over time as you approach your retirement age. I hate to say that because it's really different for a lot of people. It's really your target date. Should be when you are anticipating actually needing this money from the account, not necessarily when you actually retire from work. So just to clear that up a little bit, but you can see here full disclosure on these TSP videos. I don't mind doing that. But as you can see here, I've got a $10,000 bill in the government securities, about $3,000 in the F fund, a smaller position in the common stock index fund. So we've built up a nice position. These positions are indicative of where I feel comfortable with now building this portfolio if we do enter into somewhat of a downturn or correction into 2020. If we don't, the portfolio is built to perform. That's totally fine. But as you can see, I'm not totally levered to the stock market here. I've really tried to spread out my dollars to get myself that international exposure here at about 15% and about the same in the small cap index, and then about 25% of these dollars here in the large cap stock index, which is really the flagship account for you guys that don't know, that don't cover the thrift savings plan. This is a really, really good fund, but the way we've got the account distributed, I just went over it, is here. So, and then the contribution allocation we've got here. So, pretty much in line with where I want those bi-monthly contributions to the TSP to go. So I'm satisfied with that. I contribute about 10% of my income to the TSP. It's a good target for anybody to get up to. I started with, I believe, 1 or 2%. So for anybody that's looking for a New Year's resolution out there and is looking for the opportunity to add a little bit more exposure to the overall portfolio, the thrift savings plan is just a great way of going about doing it. Very low expense. If you do end up going with these life cycle funds, these manage at about a 34 cent per $1,000 invested expense, which in comparison, your average or typical 401k is going to be around $4.50 per $1,000 invested. So significant value here in what BlackRock provides to everyone who's managing these accounts. You get your tax loss harvesting, you get your portfolio rebalancing in here. So money well spent if you just want to put your account on autopilot and have your portfolio adjust over time. You can obviously, I don't opt for that. I do opt to manage the money myself and select a custom allocation in my TSP fund. So you can see here the year end. I think this is the PIP for the year. This is including the big dive, I think, from last year or just after it. I think last December was pretty poor performance. So obviously pulls. This is a 1 year, not a from the beginning of this year performance. But nonetheless, we're doing fine. We're safeguarding money. We're allowing it to start to take a hold in the compounding effect. So I'm satisfied with that, but wanted to roll this updated snapshot of the thrift savings plan for you guys that may or may not be part of it. It's always interesting to see how others seek their exposure in the thrift savings plan. I've just got a little over 30,000 here. So we'll continue to grow that into the future, as I really don't have retirement anywhere near in my sight. So we'll continue to build this up and allow that to passively grow. And I wish you guys all the same. So I hope you appreciated this review of the thrift savings plan. With that, I will kick you back into YouTube for the closure of the video. Thank you so much, and good luck in your investing in 2020 in the thrift savings plan.
All right, guys, so we've come back out of the thrift savings plan review. Honestly, just kind of like a 401k for most workers. The military and the government employees can appreciate this review. I just drop you right in and show you my actual allocation. I show you what I'm contributing every month and show you where I've split up the funds. This is what makes sense to me right now with the stock market in its current condition. This is a somewhat passive account. I do fund this every 2 weeks. As 10% of my pay goes into this account. But for you guys that hopefully got some value out of it, I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section, man. If you're new and you're a military or a government employee and you're eligible for the TSP, you want to make sure hit that subscribe button for me, become part of this community. I speak directly as a military investor myself and love to roll these videos out just to provide a little bit more transparency on what the opportunities that exist within the TSP are. So if you do know anybody out there that are government employees or they're military investors alike, please tune them onto the channel, man. It's super important that we continue to strike up this dialogue in understanding the most optimal way of seeking out our exposure, not only in the stock market, but in this case, the thrift savings plan. So with that, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Good luck in your investment future.